Hey guys, it's Big Mike, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today. Today we have Brian Murphy from CTS T4 to talk about option sheets and their new Autospreader. Some of the topics he wants to talk about today include the new heat maps, trading from the sheet, the option strategy solver, and like I mentioned, just an overview of the option sheets and a quick look at the Autospreader. As you guys have questions, you can go ahead and type them into the box and we'll get those answered. I'll be posting the recording of this on BMT sometime tomorrow, so if you want to go back and watch it again, you can always do that. And now, here comes Brian.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you everyone for taking some time this afternoon. Like Mike said, I'm going to give you a brief tutorial of our Autospreader, and then my partner Todd is going to come in and go over the options with us. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Autospreader today because I know I've received numerous emails and postings on Mike's site over the past month or so asking about our progress on this. And although it's not ready to go live yet, we have made some significant progress. So I just kind of wanted to show you where we are today. More than happy to get your feedback on what you think about it. Several people have asked about getting a beta version of this, and we are more than happy to get people's feedback on that. We just probably want to spend a week or so just working out some bugs that we found, just to make sure your experience with it is okay to start with. I know we're going to find bugs as we finish up our beta testing on it, but it's important to get it out there in a fairly stable format so people can see it for the first time. So you can see my screen here. I have a typical screen set up, and what we've done is in our main menu up here, we just added Autospreader as an option called Spreader Manager. And as it comes up, you'll see the little template here, and we've created some templates people can follow, and then you see the custom strategy, the stuff that I have already started messing with in my studies. So what I like to do is show you how we develop one. And what I'll do maybe is scoot this out of the way here, put this over here in the middle so you can see it better. So as I click on something I've already created, you can notice I can edit it. But I'll click on Create New just so you see what the whole template looks like. So as I create new, this screen pops up, and it comes up as a description. So I can call it whatever I want. I've done a fob already. I may duplicate that just so you can see what it looks like. If I call this a fob 3 for the quotation method, I don't want price, I want to do net change. And as I click on the legs, I'll get this blank format, and first thing I want to do is I'm going to say add a leg. It comes up, and I'm going to go down to my financials, so I'm doing 5 years and bonds. I'm going to double click on the 5-year to bring that up. Then I'm going to go down and go to futures again and go get my 30-year. So now I've added my 2 markets, and what I'm going to do on the 5-year is I'm going to leave that as my buy. I'm going to go ahead and select a market. June is the top step there. Trade ratio for this fob, I'm going to do a 3-to-1, and then I'm going to leave my multiplier there. I'll go through these definitions in 1 second. I'll just set this up for you real quick. Go ahead and do my June for this. Multiplier, I'm going to do a 1 lot there. As a multiplier, I'm going to do 0.3 and slot. So, and then I'm going to change this to a cell. So that's my basic setup. As you can see, I can scroll down and add an additional leg if you're doing a butterfly or some sort of condor, but I'll keep it simple for now and just do these 2 markets. To give you a brief definition here, obviously for the fixed market, I'm picking out my month. The top month we're trading now in financials is June. I'm going to do a buy for the 5-year side and a sell for the 30-year side. And then for a ratio, again, you guys can pick whatever you want. Traditionally, it seems like the fob recently has been a 3-to-1 ratio. That's just something I picked. But again, you can choose a custom spread ratio that you enjoy. Leg multiplier again is that 1 to 0.3. Then the 3 options we have really for you to play with even more is we call slop, pay up, and multiplier, snipe volume. These are just some definitions we came up with. We can change these, just something myself and my developer worked on and put out there. But to give you a basic definition, Slop is going to submit a leg order at a degraded price in order to improve the chance of filling the leg. So the spreader will be watching the market, and when the conditions are met to submit the leg orders will, with the slop defined, will be submitted with that adjusted price. As opposed to the leg pay-up is when one leg gets filled and the other one may not. This is the difference of slop because the order is being submitted to fill as soon as the market hit the adjusted price. So this just gives you a little buffer in there. And then the last option there, the snipe volume multiplier, this is basically telling you how much volume you want to see, on the bid or off before the spreader will look to get you filled. So in other words, if we're doing a 3-to-1 ratio here, I want to make sure, if I'm doing a 1 lot per se, I want to make sure there's at least maybe 3 on the 5 side, but to give myself a little room so I'm not missing legs, a lot of people may go to 6, 9, or 12, just to ensure there's enough volume there to get filled, especially when you might be looking at maybe some more illiquid markets. Let's say you're doing a Dow S&P spread. You may put a snipe volume multiplier in there more heavily for the Dow side, because typical Dow you may see, I don't know, 15, 20, 25, maybe 30 contracts up, and those come and go pretty quickly. So on a thinner market like that, or if you're doing some gold months, you can use that snipe volume to give yourself a little bit more of an edge so you're not always reaching for that second leg. So once I get them set the way I like them, I can say create. And as you notice now that I've created that, it's put it in my list with my other spreads that I've already done today. I can go back and edit that, delete that, or I can click on trade. And when I click on trade, you'll notice that it actually puts up an actual market like you normally see. So if I were to pull up a normal 5-year market here for you, I'll do the bonds, there it is. So you'll notice that it looks very similar. So we try to come up with the same pattern that people are used to trading off our system, seeing in a ladder format. And as I put my volume in here and go and click in the market, you can see that I'm entering these orders just like I would on a normal screen if I was trading outright. And what this is our first iteration of this spreader, just to give you a little more background on it, is going to be and is now a client side. So these orders right now are just something that's working on my machine and looking for the legs when they can possibly get filled. We will eventually get to a server-side spreader, which will help out people that are further away from our source here in Chicago, from the servers and from the exchanges. But it will start off as a client side. So what that means is that it is dependent on your computer, having a good connection. And what also means is that the orders are working locally, so the exchanges are not seeing me work this order. And this is just our electronic eye, if you will, watching these markets, looking for an opportunity to grab both legs for you. So it's not a case, many of you out there probably had a TT spreader, and your orders are actually in the market, and you see those being adjusted as the market moves up and down. So depending on how aggressive you are getting your fills in the auto spreader, this probably has the least likely chance of hanging you out on one leg, but it may not be aggressive as in some situations, maybe to get a fill you would if it was a server-side situation. So those are the type of things that we're playing with to try to make it as fast as possible now and also efficient. So you're getting the prices you want, getting the legs you want, and trying to greatly reduce how many times someone's getting hung. And as you can tell, let me bring up my order book just so you can see how it looks in there. So as I click on my working book here, slide over a minute, you can see that I have the 2 orders working in the market, and it gives me the differential that I'm working at. And then at a point in time where these are filled, you'll actually see the individual legs pop up, buying the 5s, selling the 30s with the exact price you got. And you'll also see them down here at the bottom is my account board, where you'll see them listed here. The fob will be there, but then you'll see the individual legs and be able to see a P&L. The P&L will also be on the spreader screen. So you'll be able to sit there and watch your exact P&L that's going back and forth. The other nice thing about it, if I go back and click on an edit button, oops, go to a different one. that no matter how you set this up, if things change in the marketplace, obviously you can change your ratio at any time you want. And the other nice thing is you can click on here and say move the leg up. So now the 30 year will be the first leg on my knob in this example. Obviously, as you come closer to roll, you can go in here and change your months to September and keep rolling it. So the basis of your spreader definitions and your rules all stay in place. You're just simply changing months and clicking update. And if you have different, I know some people that trade the knob a lot may switch a lot between doing a 5-to-3 or a 2-to-1. You can see that I've given different names to my knob, so I can have them set up in different ways. So I can sit there and run a 5-to-3, run a 2-to-1, have one set up more aggressive than the other, or whatever you want. But it's kind of nice you can have the flexibility to really create what you want in terms of a custom spread, but also be able to do different ones within inside the same spread. I was doing something the other day where I was doing a Dow versus S&P, then I was doing the calendar spread on the S&P and the calendar spread on the Dow, and comparing those to what I saw from the exchange. So it was a good indicator that we were on the market, and gave me some pretty accurate quotes and some accurate fills. I think if I see a question there, how about a one calendar spread versus another calendar spread? Quite honestly, I have not tried that yet. That's a great question. I can put that down and do some of my testing on that tomorrow. It would be, I'm trying to think if I could do the two legs as one versus the other two legs. But that's a great question. I'll write that down and experience, play around with that tomorrow and see.
There's also another question here from Chris. He's asking, will the spread DOM show the price filled like an outright would?
It's going to show, like in this one here, let's say that I, bought my fob here at negative 1 3/4. It's going to show me that price in my order book and show me the outrights. Is that what you're asking? So in the ladder here, I'm going to show this as my filled price, and then in my working book, I'm going to see that and the two legs.
Yeah, he says yes.
Or is he asking that in my, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, he says yes, that's what it was. Okay. And Frank is clarifying regarding the one calendar spread versus another calendar spread, that they're both exchange-traded spreads.
Okay. Yeah, the only reason I didn't think about doing that, because when I create, obviously I can do a 4 legs or multiple legs as I want, but I'm trying to think how to do 2 legs as one entity versus the other 2 legs. So I'll definitely play with that and see.
Billy's asking if we can chart the spreads, and can you click on the chart icon and the spread DOM so that it'll show the spread chart?
Exactly. So just like in our regular one, we have a drop down, we have options. Here you have the same thing as well. So I can click on my chart. It may be a little big. Let me shrink that down for you a little bit. So yeah, so however I program that spreader to calculate is what then I'm going to come here and chart. So I'm charting a 3-to-1, 5 versus 10 year here. The O's represent just some working orders I have in the market. If I got filled, they would show up as an X. We haven't done the trading off the chart, but it'd be very similar to this when we get around to doing that. But yeah, no matter which one you create, so if I go in here and pull up my other one? Pull up my other knob and say trade. So there's another knob instead of a fob, and again I can pull that up. Scrunch this down a little bit so you can see it. And same thing you can do with all our other charts. You can right click and look at the number of studies we have and add those to the chart. You can export this into Excel with all the high, low, close, volume information. So it should be a quite handy tool to create numerous spreads that you, even if you're not executing those, you like to watch them and see the ratio and then be able to follow a chart on it.
Okay, it looks really good. Good job.
Chart for spread, both exchanges, yes. Can you click? Oh, that's a chart question still. That's a good question. Profile. So I think underneath that, Mike, was a profile question. And it's the same thing as the chart. So when you look at your spreader window, which this right here for the knob is, I hit that drop-down menu. Those are the things that I can pull off that. Will be a market history like a time in sales, account contract breaks it down for me, so I do have the chart and the market profile on there.
Okay, and Billy's wanting to know if the Autospreader is going to be an additional fee or if it's part of the normal $25 package.
Yeah, that's a great question, Billy. We've started to discuss that, and we haven't really come up with a conclusion yet. My initial guess would be we like to throw it out there as part of the regular package initially, just to give everyone a chance to try it without having to commit anything extra to it. Get feedback from people, improve it, get it to a stage where it's working, really, really well, and then see what type of value we think it has out there. We've always talked about it possibly being a couple $100 extra, so maybe that's the worst case scenario, but we might put it into the advanced charting package as it is now, or like I said, potentially just put it out there as part of the basic package in the initial stages. Just because we want to get as much feedback as we can, get it out to the general audience, and because everyone's got a different idea how they want a spreader to work, how they would set it up, how they want to see execution and be able to manipulate things, deal with partials. There's just tons of different ways to do it. So I think the more we get out there and get people's opinion back, the better off we'll be.
Okay. And Chris is wanting to know if he can track the messaging ratios.
A question about ratio?
Yeah.
Yeah, the key about doing the client side like we're doing now is there is no messaging ratio, because everything's just internal to you. The difference between, again, I use TT just because I had it years ago and watched it work, is that those orders are actually sitting at the exchange. So every time the market moves and you, even though it's being done automatically for you, those orders are in essence being cancel, replace, cancel, replace, cancel, replace. So what they do is they watch how many messages you do, which that's considered a message every time you replace it, and they do the ratio to make sure that you have a fill to working ratio to revision ratio that makes sense to them. So in this case, with the client ratio, with the client side, you don't have to worry about that because there is no messaging being sent to the exchange until we're trying to execute something. So that won't be an issue until we get into our server side one, and then we will have to, keep an eye on that. And that's a great question. We will have some type of control so you can kind of get an idea of what you've done for the day in case you have to throttle things back, or maybe you can throttle them up depending on how close you're getting to that ratio number.
Okay. Anything else to show us on the spreader, or do you want to talk about options?
Yeah, that's kind of it, unless anybody's got any last questions, or I can let Todd do the options, and we can take both questions at the end if you guys like.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the options.
Okay. Just give me 10 seconds here. I'm gonna get out. Oops.
Okay.
I'm gonna get out of this platform and let Todd get into his, which I think he already has loaded up. Oh. Yeah, I'll slide over here. Mike, you can see that option sheet, right?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Todd. Hey, Todd, we can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Okay, my apologies. Hello, everyone. My name is Todd. We're putting together professional level option sheets, and to give a small introduction, essentially we are making the professional level option sheets effective for not only professional traders, but brokers, sales, IB, and desk managers. It is a theoretical option sheet that has the electronic market embedded inside. We have several key features. We have different types of heat maps, which include colorization and visual heat maps. And we have it for our last trades as well, which would include the outright trades, which will appear directly on the sheet. And the one very unique thing we did was we actually show you the spreads on legs directly in the sheet when they trade. The other thing we did that is new to the industry is that several things are done automatically. And I will give you an example of that. We're actually going to use the 12-hour delay S&P Mini just so that we can see some things possibly happen. So essentially, I went to the option sheet, selected the commodity I wanted, and what this did was it created every month for the S&Ps. It brought in the correct expirations and assigned the correct futures, meaning that if I change to the September contract, the September option goes against the September future. And it knows that there's 141 days left to expiration. So a lot of other systems, you have to actually manually put in all the other information, and you have to build it. An example, 3 major competitors of this type of sheet, what we just did there would probably take about 45 minutes. The other thing we do that's automated is if a new month is created by the exchange, we will automatically pick it up. If a new strike is added by the exchange, we will also automatically pick it up. We also bring the settlement prices directly into the sheet, and I'll show you how that works. So what we can do is actually we can bring in the settlement price. We can place it around the theoretical value. So here is where the theoretical value versus the settlement will appear if it's over, and underneath if it is under. We also do a color coding scheme so that you can tell if it's higher or lower than your theoretical prices. We also put in the total amount traded on the day, the current open interest, and the open interest net change. In order to do this with other competitors, you either have to do it manually or you have to download and then upload into the program to get it. We'll be doing that automatically for you. The other thing we have done is our click trading is directly on the sheet. You can choose between this type of entry or using the ladders for entry. An example, I will place an order in the marketplace. And the orders are posted directly in the sheet. So I have a one lot buy working here. When I press on the orders row, I can see what orders I am working and be able to move them around. So it's the same thing. Oops. What this allows me to do is quickly manage my options if I need to, or cancel the orders. The other feature we have, which is the first system to offer this, is depending on your preference, we offer both horizontal sheets and vertical sheets. The sheets are fully customizable, meaning all colors can be changed. To simply move one column to another spot, you press and hold on it, and you can rearrange the entire sheet. We have also created this idea of multiple views within a sheet. So if I create a new view, I can rename it, and we'll just call this one Settles. And on the settlement, I'm going to get rid of a couple of different of the columns. And then I will add just a few things. And what we're allowed to do is it will completely change the look of the sheet with just a click. So you could have one sheet built strictly for trading, one for just analyzing after the close, and you can have several other characteristics added, and you can create as many embedded sheets as you want. So in the views, these are all the key features that we have, which is essentially your theoreticals, being able to see your straddles, the working orders. You can see the bid and ask. You can see the bid and ask size. The edge is the difference between the theoretical and the bid and offer. Then we can see the last trade under and over the theoretical, which also physically places it under and over. the last trade difference, just to tell you what the difference is between the last trade and your theoretical. Obviously, you can have your deltas, volatilities, vegas. OEV is something that some people are not familiar with. That is number of equivalent options to the at the money. The gamma theta slope premium is a Greek that allows you to figure out how much volatility it would take to change to a flat slope. And then, of course, settlement. We explained the settlement versus the theoretical, the net change, total volume open interest, and the open interest net change. And to simply turn on anything, as you click it, it appears on the sheet, and as you click it off, it disappears. So we tried to make everything interactive, just as well as, and I'll move this out of the way, the theoretical price. As you're changing it, it constantly redraws to the correct color. We also offer a feature that if you'd like to color code each individual month, you can create color codes for each month individually, and then as you switch months, it will change the colors that you are associated with that month. There are several things we will be adding to this. We will have a strategy solver, and what that will simply do is be able to solve for the price of the strategy, including application of the Greeks. We will also be able to RFQ and UDS using the CME's quote system and be able to trade any type of spread. And this will be fully integrated with an analyzer, so you'll be able to analyze through slide risk and matrix risk. The other thing that will be available on here is the ability to transfer this information to a partner. So if you were working as a group, you could create a series of sheets and volatilities and be able to transfer that to anybody that was within your group. In conclusion, basically what we've done is created our option sheets first, and then we will be adding to the option sheets in a very short and rapid amount of time that will rival other systems that are priced between $1,500 and $1,800, and we'll be offering this package. It will be $1,000. It will include all of the advanced charting stuff, the news service, and will not have CTS's 50-cent charge. Well, thank you for your time. If there are any questions, we can take them now.
Thanks, Todd. It looks really good. So remind me again, when will this be available as a final release?
We believe the final release will occur in about a month and a half to 2 months. We've had it out in beta for a month and a half and have had only very minor issues. What we have done, or what we will be doing, is releasing this, the sheets part soon, but it is not considered a fully complete until we get the other components in there. So those should be in within 2 months.
Okay. And is a beta available to people that request it, or are you waiting to release the final?
We're waiting to release the final product.
Okay. Very good. So $1,000 and no 50-cent per. That's a good deal.
Yes. And just like with regular CTS, any exchange we have, there is no additional charge for that exchange. Traditionally, some of the other options platforms that are more expensive will charge you $500 per exchange on top of it on a monthly basis.
Right. Okay.
So the major difference is not only will we have a more highly effective option sheet and analyzer, we will be eventually incorporating in the Autospreader that Brian demonstrated. So if you wanted to do an option spread that was not recognized by the exchange, you will be able to do it via our option platform, and it will incorporate directly into the Autospreader.
Okay, great.
An example of that would be a corn option versus crude oil versus bonds as one complete package.
Right. That sounds great. Yeah, I really look forward to that. I look forward to the Autospreader being server-side as well.
Yes,
give
I
some
agree.
competition out there. Okay, so if anybody here has any questions for either the option sheets or the auto spreader, we can go ahead and take them now. Otherwise, I think pretty much everything's been covered. Todd, did you have anything else to show us, or Brian have anything else?
Trying to do anything else? No, we're all good from our end.
Okay. Well, so far it doesn't look like there's actually any remaining questions. So if questions do come up, what's the best way for these guys to get a hold of you?
We should email CTS. You can just email support@ctsfutures.com.
Okay. I do see one question here from Don. He's asking, will the UDS RFQ be available for non-sheet users?
No.
Okay. Okay, so if anybody has questions that they did not get answered in the webinar, they can just send you guys an email. You said support@ctsfutures.com?
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, Brian, I thank you for your time and putting everything together as always. Todd, nice to meet you, and very good job on the option sheets.
Well, thank you very much, and we do appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. I'll post the recording of this webinar sometime tomorrow on the site. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.